So my innocent question was, they used every drug in the book, you name it, they used it. And everything from glue sniffing to LSD to ecstasy to marijuana, which was nothing, to all types of alcohol, been there, done that. So my question was, why did you start abusing alcohol and or drugs? And one of the women in one of the groups, she stood up with hands on hips. She said, Judith, you tell me, if you've been raped by your father, your brother, your uncle, and your grandfather, from the age of 6 on, what in hell would you use to hide the memories? And I got it. And I said, yeah, I guess I agree with you. And she said, you better, because most women who come out to be addicted to whatever they're addicted to, generally they have told me, and I've been in this field since 1994, to hide the memories. They have nothing else to use, and that's what they use. We do know in terms of addicts that they have to deal with their sexual abuse before they can deal with their recovery. And I know one woman, she was about 42. Her brother, he was the one who had raped her with his gang of friends. She was 42. She was driving somewhere on some back road. It instantly came over her. She had to stop her car. She started to cry, and she realized then that abuse all came back to her. And she was in recovery at the time. Immediately she came back, got a counselor, and dealt with the sexual abuse to make sure that her recovery was firm. So most of the women I've worked with tell me that this is one of the reasons why they do abuse drugs. Long answer to a short question.
Next question is for Allison. How do you think the experience of a women's center reduces violence against women on campus or in general?
Well, I think the main purpose of the Women's Center is to educate and empower women. And if we start to talk about the violence, then we're actually doing something about it. We're trying to educate and empower students to recognize that, no one deserves to be violated or to be abused physically, whichever way. And we're also trying to educate students as well to understand that somebody who professes to love you should not hurt you. And we try to reinforce that over and over and over again. One of the things that we see, or one of the things that I see when I speak with students who are involved in a violent dating relationship or an intimate partner situation, especially within the whole school circle, the whole university circle, education circle, is that, well, I belong to a group of friends. And, if I were to leave or if I were to disclose to my other friends that this was happening to me, they might not believe me. And if they don't believe me, then all of a sudden I become an outcast. I don't belong to that group anymore. And if I don't have the social circle of friends that I've had from first year, then what do I have? I'm on my own. So this is something that is recurring, and this is something that I hear a lot. Well, I'm not going to say anything. Or, he's really going for a rough time. Exams are coming up, and he's just stressed right now, so I'll fix it. Pretty much to what you said earlier on, where you think, well, I can change somebody and I can fix somebody. So that's sort of the recurring thing that we hear. So what we're trying to do is just educate people to say, well, you don't deserve it. You have every right to live a life free from any kind of violence or abuse. And, it's not acceptable. Abuse is not acceptable at any time. So I think once if we say this enough, if we have enough events where we're highlighting this and we're trying to educate students, that my hope is that eventually the presence of the women's centers, that eventually students will understand and they'll get it that no one is supposed to live with abuse and no one has a right to abuse someone else.